Okay, my name is Shanga Labossiere, and I'm here with Chiana, 2020 Oakland Youth Poet Laureate finalist. Woo, woo, woo. All right, cool. That was the intro. So,
Perfect.
um, so let's talk. I guess first thing I want to ask is why poetry? What brought you to poetry?
Hmm. Funny story actually, when I started to write, I guess, poetry, what would be considered poetry in that form, I kind of thought I had invented it or come across it on my own, I didn't realize that it was something that a lot of other people did and a lot of other people had already noted as its own style. For me, I was just kind of messing around because I was always a writer, but I had like different styles of writing. And so poetry for me was just a style of writing I used to talk about trivial things in my life originally that I felt I wasn't going to write an essay on it, but I just wanted to write something quick about it to get it off my chest. And so I was like, oh, I have these like short kind of emotional lines of writing, and that was enough for me. And it was a way to express things that were emotional, right? And then as I grew up, I was like, oh, this is kind of like, mom. I was like, this is a very purposeful style. It's very different than other prose or things that I've written. And then obviously I realized, oh, poetry is its own thing. People are poets, right? And it's a legitimate style of writing. And then as I grew up, I just kind of started to use it in the same regard. So use it for things that are emotional, things that have room for emotionality or kind of visceral topics versus an essay or something like that, I think.
For sure, that's super interesting. Like, and then hearing you, and also like for me, like writing as a way to like kind of capture, emotion in a way that other
Mm-hmm.
forms might not be able to, But
Yeah,
for you, it's kind of like I don't know. It's just really cool. It's just really cool to
yeah,
hear, like,
I get
like
that.
and like how you kind of like invented it for yourself,
I know.
And then you were just like, oh, snap, everybody's catching on to my thing.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
exactly.
But like, I guess, what do you write about, or what do you like to write about?
Mm, that's a hard question. I guess, well, something in the world that I experience inspires me to write. So they're more about experiences, right? Or like feelings that I have. A lot of them are like, if you're ever, maybe you're with somebody or some place that it just strikes you as this like really like perfect moment, like this quintessential moment. And you're like, wow, that's just so like perfect and dynamic in itself. And you're like, I have to write about that somehow. So most of them are like kind of capturing this one moment in time. And obviously maybe somebody else will get that, or they don't have the experience I have. So what I get out of the poem is very different than somebody else, which is also very interesting because you're writing about something very intimate to yourself, but then you wonder, okay, what are people reading or what are people getting out of this when they read it?
That's so dope. Like, same here. Like, I know this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
about me, but like, really, like, you'll have like certain things that kind of like jump out to you, and it's like this
Mm-hmm.
can like you have these other forms of writing, but like this like experience, like this one is for a poem. Is that kind
Yes,
of what it is
yes,
for you?
yes, yes.
For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, right. This has to be. Yeah.
What do you like about writing?
I guess it's just, well, I'm very expressive, or I like to think that I am. I and when anything happens to me, even not even writing, but just I have to tell someone. I have to talk about it. Like I said, experience happens to me. I can't just keep it to myself. I have to go tell someone. So writing is kind of a form of that communication. Like I feel like I'm validating experiences happen to me because I'm writing it down. That's kind of why I like writing physically too, because it's also the experience of like, oh, I'm actually writing this down, and just something cool about being able to formulate these ideas into like just like beautiful strings of words. I don't know. It's very satisfying to
We're just on the same wavelength. It's perfect. It's perfect. I guess. What do you love about Oakland?
me. Um, I love it's Oakland specifically. I mean, I guess I grew up here, so for me, at first it seemed very ordinary and normal, and then I began to venture out into other cities and other places across the country, and I realized Oakland is really diverse, like extremely diverse. Like you have all these different kinds of people and ideas and things in one place. Like you can find every credence, everything in Oakland if you wanted to, right? You have like little snippets of everywhere in one place, and I think that's really, really, really cool. I mean, even to grow up with like different kinds of food and languages, like that's really powerful to be like, oh, I know all these things about different places in the world and different people because they're all kind of collected in Oakland. I'm
Sure.
really grateful for that, honestly.
Wait, one more time. Sorry.
But I'm really grateful for that, to grow up in that diversity. It was very cool. Very cool.
That's dope. I feel that for sure. What made you want to apply for the Oakland Youth Poet Laureate program?
Well, my English teacher, she said, "Oh, wow, you should apply to this." And so I was looking at it, and I guess what's interesting is previously, for the years that I've been writing, since like 7th grade, I never showed my poetry to anyone actually. It was just for me. It was like, oh, I want to capture this moment to myself. And I just kept it, which is actually kind of rare for me because I like to share the things I do and like kind of show off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, poetry, I was like, I don't feel a need to share it. Then like 10th grade, maybe, I had a friend who wanted to read it and I showed him some and he just really, really loved it. And I didn't consider that like something so intimate to me, somebody else could really love. And it was really cool. I was like, maybe I should share this more. I should like validate it in some way. So applying for this was partially like acknowledging myself as, yes, I am a poet or whatever. Submitting my works, like getting validated in that way. But just to be able to like interact with other people, inspire other young writers, like that's really cool to me. To think that there's somebody out there who is starting like I am and then having this experience, I can share it with them. And that just seems like a really, really cool way to use poetry to me. Like structures or things in nature inspire me because I feel almost like they can understand me or I can see emotions in them, yet they're silent and they're not showing anything. I don't know, something about that dynamic where they kind of almost have emotions associated with them to me, even though they're not people. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe, but.
No, for sure. I feel like you kind of talked about that in one of your pieces. I really like this part. I'm finding it. Wait. It was extraordinary. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Silence seems to spill from the trees down the droplets at its tips into sound that cannot be heard, more felt. That's what
Yeah,
me up.
Yeah, for sure.